Hey, everybody, it is Rob Alexander with the Small Business Development Center, and I am pumped about tonight's topic, which I have affectionately called Work at Home Mom Boss Tips and Tricks to Build a Home Based Business of Your Dreams, and in parentheses, and make your kids proud, because we all want to create something that will make the people around us proud of us. I think that we've got a great topic. I've put a lot of time and effort into this. I'll probably share some things that are controversial, maybe a little bit eye opening, but absolutely it's going to be valuable for anyone who's ever thought about starting a business from home. And although this says WAHM, like work at home mom, that doesn't mean that you have to be a mom. Obviously, anybody can work from home, and all of this content is applicable whether you are male or female. So today we're going to be going over my top 10 tips for creating a really amazing home-based business. We're going to talk about some of my favorite types of home-based businesses. And then finally, I'm going to give you the quick and dirty version of how to start a business legally and legitimately in the state of Ohio. If you've got questions along the way, please don't hesitate to throw them in the comment section. I will try and take a glance at that when I can. I'm here in the studios of New Life Media Marketing with Eric Madden, my good friend. And Eric can jump in there too and share questions with me if he happens to see those. So without further ado, why don't we jump into this topic? So I'm going to start off by talking about my top 10 tips for creating an amazing home-based business. And this first one I'm going to hit you with is something that I am passionate about and that I think probably a lot of people need to hear, but nobody's ever been willing to tell you this to your face. And, I actually wanted to have someone co-host this with me who has started home-based businesses. But quite honestly, what I want to tell you about multi-level marketing companies, I really just want that to come from me and not have that attached to anyone else, because I don't want anyone to be offended. I don't think that anyone's in my life is going to be offended by what I say. But here's what I want to say. You need to say no to multi-level marketing opportunities when they are pitched to you. If what you want to start is a business, don't do MLM. And I have my reasons, and let's talk about those. First of all, can we admit that it's always risky to start a business? I think a lot of us have heard the statistics that half of all businesses will fail in the first 5 years, and that is absolutely true. What we know also is that about 39% of legitimate small business owners ultimately will earn a profit over time. That is not a high percentage. That's less than half. So half of all small business owners will even earn a profit. So it's a risk to begin with, but you got a shot. If you do your homework, you're smart, and you work hard, you got a good chance of making a profit. Now let's talk about multi-level marketing or network marketing, distributors, consultants, partners. They call them all kinds of fancy names, but how many of them earn a profit? This number is outrageously small. This little slide says 1%. It's really less than that. 1% of recruited sellers within multi-level marketing companies earn a profit. I don't want to take a chance where I only have a 1% chance of ever making a profit. That's insane to me. So most multi-level marketing companies, they are not going to produce actual earnings and share that information unless somebody makes them. But some of them have. They've been ordered by courts to do this. The FTC, the federal agency that oversees trade in this country, has done significant research on this industry. Of the 29 companies that do produce this data, they found out some really abysmal, horrible statistics about the MLM industry. And I just want to share some stuff with you. So we're looking at 29 companies for which data can be found. On average, this is so bad, only 1 out of 238 people earn a dime as a seller in a multi-level marketing company. 1 out of 238. Do you want those odds? I hope you don't. You can have some fun. You can throw some parties. But if you want to actually earn a profit and use your hours to earn a few dollars, multi-level marketing is not where it's at. So let's talk about some of the companies you might recognize. I picked 4 from this list of 29, and they're all in the top 10 largest network marketing companies. Amway, Herbalife, Nu Skin, and Tupperware. We've all heard these names. Amway, 99.9% of their distributors lost money. Herbalife, 99.4% lost money. Nu Skin, 99.4% lost money. And Tupperware, oh, God love the Tupperware ladies, 99.7% of them didn't earn a dime. For all that time and effort that they put into those parties, they're not earning anything. I know I'm belaboring this point, but I want you to be conditioned when this comes up and you think, I might be the exception, I can do this. I want you to check yourself before you wreck yourself, because it's not going to happen. It's not. You're set up to fail. Unless you're at the very top of that organization on the ground floor, you will not make money. You know, trust me, I have done a lot of research into this. And it, you know, we've all tried it, right? My wife was a 31 consultant. It was fun for a year or so. 31 Gifts, they sell a fantastic story about how much they help women. But you know what I see, it's a business model where 98% of their consultants have less than $5,000 a year of income. And that's before you account for any expenses and before you account for their time. So to me, that's not very good for an organization that supposedly cares about women. That corporation raked in $750 million in 1 year on the backs of over 100,000 consultants. They are making poverty wages to peddle handbags for a company that's raking in millions and millions of dollars. Their CEO has a net worth of around $200 million. You think you're owning a business when you're in network marketing? Trust me, you're still making money for someone else. It's no different than having a job. I want you to start a business where you're making money for you. Your efforts benefit you. That's 31, but I'm not done. They're not unique. They are the norm. A lot of us have heard about Young Living. They have over $100 billion in sales. They are like the masters of essential oils. And I don't get the essential oil thing, but I understand numbers. And the numbers I'm seeing is that the average annual income in 2019 for their distributors, $236. That's a year's worth of income, $236. Scentsy, like, okay, we got a lot of Scentsy burners in our house, I'll tell you that. The median, so like on average, 50% made less than this, 50% made more. The median commissions for consultants who were active all 12 months, they separate their data. They want to know who was in it all 12 months versus who figured out this is a scam and got out. But the ones who were in it all 12 months, the median income was $697. So let me break that down for you. That's $58 a month before your expenses. Is that the kind of business you want to start? Just say no to MLM. If you take nothing away from this, please say no to MLM and start a real business. All right, Eric, let's move on. I think I beat that horse to death. My number 2 tip is build a business where you can connect that work to a greater purpose. I believe that everyone was created unique. We have certain things that feed our soul. I think God created every one of us different, and we have different talents. We have different things that we care about. And if that's the case, why would we not want to create a business that can fuel our passion and give you a sense of purpose? We have an opportunity when we're creating business because you have the power to custom build a business that is perfectly suited for you, that unique person that no one else in the world is like. So this business that you custom create, it can be full of the things that you love and absolutely devoid of all the things that you hate about the jobs you've done in the past. It should be something that keeps you up late at night and kind of wakes you up in the morning. You're excited to get out of bed and go to work because it's not work. It's you living out your purpose and your passion. So if you were created unique, go out and create a unique job for yourself. Build a business that's suited just for you. Okay. Tip number 3. I've always loved this phrase, find your riches in the niches, because the riches are in the niches. So one of the things that I see a lot at the SBDC is people come in, they have an idea, and it's very natural to want to start a business that would have a large audience, right? Well, the problem with starting a business that has mass appeal is that those large audience sizes have already attracted a ton of competitors. You know, I like to think of this as in fish and bodies of water. So when you're talking about appealing to a mass market, you are just one fish in a pretty large sea that's just filled with thousands and thousands of fish. It becomes very hard to stand out from the crowd when you go that route. And that's exactly what you're doing when you're trying to create a business that anyone could be your customer. You don't want anyone to be your customer. You want a very specific kind of person to be your customer. So that's why discovering a niche is the ideal situation for most aspiring entrepreneurs. There are companies that can serve anyone. You know, there's Walmart, Amazon. But listen, if you're starting a business from home, I don't think you want to try and compete with Walmart and Amazon. So even though you would be serving a much smaller audience, your chances of success are going to be so much higher by targeting a niche. And listen, you can still make a very comfortable living serving a group around the country that's maybe less than 1,000 people, but they're passionate about what it is you do. You are their person. And you can make a living off 1,000 passionate customers. There's no doubt about it. You can make a living off of 100 ideal customers. It's absolutely possible. What I want for you is to be a big fish or the big fish in a very small pond. That's what being in a niche is. So where do you start? How do you figure out what your niche is? You know, this really comes down to people and problems. You need people who have problems. And if you don't have a problem, you don't really have a business. You've got to figure out how to solve a problem for somebody. I think it's just so crazy to hear some of these niches. You can be so specific and still make a solid living. You know, when you're thinking about people, I mean, I could have chose a million different kinds of people, but you know, amateur day traders, people who trade on the stock market every day, but that's not their full-time job. That's a target audience. They probably got some problems that somebody could solve. People who own ferrets. I have no idea how many people own ferrets in the United States. Probably not that large of a number. That's still a target audience you can make a living off of. You know, I used to run the Hemophilia Foundation in Columbus. Parents of kids who have bleeding disorders is a target audience. I can make a living by creating a service or a product for parents of people who have hemophilia, even though that's a rare disease with like only 4,000 people in the country who have it. Plenty of people who make living off of the hemophilia industry. There are riches in the niches. And you've got to figure out what your niche is. Because those people have pains. They have things that they find frustrating. You know, a parent of a kid with hemophilia is constantly frustrated by different things. They also have gains, things that they want, things that they aspire to. And so your job as a business owner is to figure out, how can I create a pain killer or a gain creator, and do that in a way that's different and better than other people who are trying to serve that same person who has that same problem. So find your riches in the niches. Next, I want you to think about the scale of your business. I want you to take this seriously, because you need to decide whether you want to grow this company really big or whether you want this to remain what I call a lifestyle business. So what do I mean by a lifestyle business? So a lifestyle business is one that it's set up and it's run by its founders. Really, the aim is to sustain a particular level of income that allows them to live the lifestyle that they want to live. It may not even be something they're like crazy passionate about, even though I know I just told you find something that does that. But if what you want to do is surf every day and live on the beach, you probably don't want to start a business that's going to grow to have 300 employees. You may want to start a little stand that's near a beach It's going to allow you to get off at 2:30 in the afternoon every day and go surf. That's a lifestyle business. It's a job you created for yourself that allows you to live the lifestyle you want to live. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's perfectly fine. These lifestyle businesses tend to depend very heavily on the founder's skills, their energy, their contacts. It's very much a cult of personality. You remove the founder from that business, and that business probably doesn't exist. That's kind of what a lifestyle business tends to look like. They also have very limited scalability or potential for growth, because, as I said, if that thing grows really big, that founder's no longer going to have the lifestyle that they wanted. They're not going to be able to get off at 5 every day and see their family the way they want. If it grows to where they've got hundreds of employees, guess what you're spending your time doing? You're in meetings, you're dealing with HR issues, you're trying to figure out budgets and finance, you're managing a corporation. And that may not be fun. That may not be why you started that business to begin with. And so if you don't want your business to evolve into that, you've got to build it so that it remains a lifestyle business. That said, if you do want to build a scalable business, if you want to go earn millions, if you want to take your company public, you also got to think about that. You have to set this up right from the beginning so that it is scalable. You got to come up with a business model that somehow, if this works, would allow your revenues to grow exponentially and quickly while your expenses grow much slower and more incrementally. That's a business that scales. And the classic example of this is software companies. You know, it's expensive to create the software on the front end. You got some expenses there, but once it's ready and you release it to the public, you can sell that software to 1 million people or 10 people. Your expenses really are kind of staying the same at that point. That is a scalable business. That's what investors are looking for because it helps them earn their money back quicker. No investor wants to invest in a lifestyle business. Doesn't make them bad. It just means that you need to figure out what you want to be and build it with that intention. Next tip, I want you to be proud of your home-based business. Empires have been built in people's garages, in their basements, in their dorm rooms. I mean, we know these stories. Here's just a short list of companies that were started in people's homes. Amazon, Google, Facebook, Microsoft, Apple, Disney, Harley Davidson. You take that list, like, I don't know the stock market super well, but if you add up all of their equity in the stock market, it's probably like a third or half the stock market, all from businesses that started in someone's home. So I don't want you to look at your business and think this is less than because it's a home-based business. That's how things get started. That's how you should start. You also need to understand just how good you have it. I tell people all the time that being a business owner, to me, is the new American dream. Like, forget about picket fences, forget about 2.5 kids, forget about a job you have for 40 years and you got a pension and you're taken care of. That's not the American dream anymore. That dream doesn't exist for most people. What I do think is the new American dream is to have freedom, freedom over your time, freedom to make decisions, and financial freedom. Man, if I had those 3 things, I'm living the dream. And being a home-based business owner allows me to live that dream. And I need to remind myself of that. You need to remind yourself of that. Keep reminding yourself of that until it sinks in and you see that home-based business as the huge, huge blessing that it is or could be. Your home-based business is not less than a bricks and mortar traditional business. In today's age, it is the smart way to start a business. It's what smart entrepreneurs do. You've got to convince yourself of that. Next, invest in yourself. I know this guy sitting across the table from me, Eric Matta, believes in this. You have got to invest in yourself and educate yourself, because getting ahead and staying ahead of the competition is what it takes to be successful. You've got to become a lifelong learner. Now, when you invest in that learning, not only are you increasing your expertise, but I think it also helps you understand your competition a little bit better. you're going to know where you stand against your competition because you're following along with them. You're learning from them. It's amazing how the student can become the master when you really invest in your education. I think a lot of us have been conditioned to think that if you're going to start a business, you need a college degree. Um, if I'm going to start selling art, I need to go get an art degree. To me, that's dumb. I mean, if you're good at art, you don't need to go to college and get a piece of paper that says you're good at art. You can go sell your art. I think we need to remove that thought. Younger generations get this. I think people in their teens and 20s, they're looking at college much different than people in their 30s and 40s are. You can learn to do almost anything online for free and using online resources. And if you're willing to spend just a little bit of money, you can even gain access to the best information, I would argue better than what you can find in college, and save a lot of time hunting around for the good stuff for free online. It is worth the investment. Drop a couple $100s and see if that doesn't turn into thousands of dollars once your business is up and running. Now, in order to invest in yourself, we've got to find time. I think a lot of people use the excuse that they don't have the time, but we do a lot of things that waste time in our days too. So I think we need to trade in some time wasters for some you investors, like maybe a little bit less television and a little more time watching YouTube channels that we subscribe to, and not dance videos, not like cute cat videos, but YouTube videos that help us learn something. Maybe a little less music and more podcast. I told this to a group of young adults who were going through a leadership academy, and they argued with me tooth and nail that music was just as valuable as podcasts. They can think that, but I don't think that. I think that podcasts are going to benefit you so much more than listening to music. There's nothing wrong with music, but you're not going to grow the way you will from listening to a good podcast. And then finally, less social media, more online courses. We can waste a lot of time on social media, can't we? But there are some great online courses. The people that are investing in themselves are the ones that are going to win. If you're going to start a successful home-based business, you've got to become a lifelong learner. Eric, how are we doing on the chat? We got any questions yet? All right. Hey, guys, don't forget, like, if you've got questions along the way, you want me to cover something specifically, just drop something in the chat there. I'm happy to address it here live or come back later on afterwards and do the same if you are watching this after we're done here. Okay, so next, I want you to build in a pause button with this business that you create. I meet with a lot of business owners. I think a lot of them would say that they don't own their business anymore. Their business owns them. And I think if you're not careful, you can find yourself stuck in a business model where it is just next to impossible for you to walk away for a week or two to go unwind, to take your spouse down to Mexico and just like forget about the company for a little bit and recharge. A lot of people build businesses where it's just impossible. Their clients, customers depend on them, and there's no one else that could run it. I think if you think about this right from the get-go, you can maybe avoid this. And maybe it takes some creativity to work around some of this, but I think where there's a will, there's a way. And if there is no way for you to walk away, you need to figure out a different business model, because that's no life to live. If you're stuck working in your business, and running a business is hard work. It's some of the hardest work around. You're probably not going to have a 40-hour work week. If you can't get away, you're going to burn out. There's no doubt about it. So even if this means, hey, like, I'm going to approach my competitor and see if they would be willing to service my clients while I'm on vacation. In return, I'll do that for them too. So at least every year, each of us is going to get two weeks off. I think that's a good trade-off. Yeah, I'm working with my competitor, but at least I'm going to be around because I'm not burnt out. That's creativity. Could I hire a temp worker or an apprentice to manage, at least at a bare bones level, while I'm gone? The service might not be as great, but maybe that's something I'm willing to sacrifice. At the very least, I think you got to figure out, can I manage my company remotely? So if I do go down to Mexico, can I do some things from my hotel room? And I don't want you to do a lot. I don't think anyone should be working on their vacation, but if that's what it takes, get it done. Figure out how you can run your business bare bones, even when you're not at home. So a lot of people who try working from home, they miss what I call this just like a sense of connection that comes with having a workplace and coworkers and a prescribed way of doing things. We are connected to a workplace, and if we've been doing that for 20 or 30 years, it's hard to then go work from home and not have that connection, that structure. And so my last three recommendations, they all address that problem. And so for this one, we're talking about creating a proper work environment. I think that there's a problem where when people imagine creating a home-based business, what they picture themselves is being able to work with a laptop from their couch, from their bed, at the kitchen counter, on the dining room table, like anywhere, like go outside on the patio and work. I mean, that sounds really nice. The problem with that is that it's hard to get into a good flow. None of that is your workspace. That's family space. That's living space. And the more that those two worlds collide, the harder it is to get into a rhythm and into a flow and have that sense of connection to your work. I think the ideal place for you to do your work is going to be free from distractions. And listen, I got three kids. I know how distracting kids can be. And for a lot of us, that's why we want to work from home, is because we have kids at home. Do the best you can. You may not have a space that's completely free of distractions, but do the best you can. If you can, make it 100% dedicated to work. That way, life is not constantly interrupting you. Ideally, it's also going to be big enough that you have access to everything you need. There's a lot of us, myself included, we're working from home because of the coronavirus, and it's not ideal. I realized pretty quickly I needed my second monitor. The problem was my table wasn't that big. Um, I got a teeny tiny table that I've got now two monitors crammed on and a printer, and I have to turn my papers sideways because I can't even fit a notebook piece of paper in front of me. Like, I need a big desk. I've learned that. So if I was going to create a home office, like, I clearly need a space that's going to allow me to have a bigger desk. Now, that seems like tiny little details, but it's important. For me to be effective, I need to not be crammed into a corner. And if you can figure that out, you're going to be better off for it. And finally, this seems kind of dumb, but maybe not. I think it should be arranged and decorated in a way that you feel inspired and it gives off a professional image. Now, I believe in being comfortable. I believe in casual work attire and all that. I'm only giving this advice about creating an environment that feels professional because I think a lot of home-based business owners struggle with this feeling, again, that their business isn't as legitimate. When your workplace looks professional, when it feels like a workplace, I think you're going to be less apt to fall into that trap. I often tell people that being a business owner is one of the loneliest occupations you could ever have. And so for that reason, I think it's really important that you find ways to connect to people, because it doesn't have to be the loneliest occupation. You really just have to be more intentional about maintaining connections to people. And if you are going to be intentional, you might as well be smart about it too. I think that you need to look at connections to people in three different ways. You should have a connection to your tribe, your mentors, and your peers. I'm reading the question real quick. How do you market efficiently? What are some of the benefits of marketing? All right, Amber, I got your question. How do you market efficiently, and what are some of the benefits of marketing? I'm going to come back to this after I finish this slide here. So your tribe, your mentors, and your peers. Your tribe are the people who are a lot like you. They are interested in the things that you're interested in. They have a lot of the same aspirations that you do. And every tribe needs its leader. If you're going to own a business, my hope is that you are the leader and you have a tribe that follows you, that listens to you, that trusts you, that knows you, that likes you. Having that tribe that looks up to you, it forces you to be at the top of your game because you know that their growth depends in part on your growth. And so you need that. Your mentors, I mean, this seems self-explanatory. These are the people who have been down the same road as you before. They've learned through experience how to navigate the path that you're on. And so they're going to hold you accountable. They're going to challenge you to grow. They're going to give you the wisdom and advice you need to do the right thing and advance your business forward. But lastly, and this one gets ignored by a lot of business owners, you need a group of peers. And I really think these peers ought to be some other entrepreneurs. So, my friend Eric here, we're in a mastermind group together. That mastermind group is so important to everyone in there. We're not in the same industry, but most entrepreneurs struggle with the same things. We struggle with feelings of inadequacy. We struggle with letting go of people who are toxic or not performing well. We struggle with knowing how to market, much like Amber. And we need people that we can bounce things off the wall with, or at least, at the very least, like to not feel like we're the only ones struggling with this thing. That's what having a peer group or a mastermind group allows you to do. Okay, so I want to jump back to Amber's question. How do you market efficiently? What are some of the benefits of marketing? Marketing is about getting your message in front of the right person. And so if you want to market efficiently, to me, that's about not marketing to the masses, but hopefully you have a niche. And so if my niche is ferret owners, I don't want to put a billboard on I-70 because 99% of the people who drive by it aren't ferret owners. So if I'm going to market efficiently and I've got a limited budget, which I probably do if I got a home-based business, I need to go where ferret owners gather and pay attention. I need to understand what ferret owners, what problems they have, what they aspire to. Like, do they want to have a pimped out ferret cage? I need to know that, and I need to know what they're going to search in Google so that when they search that, I can put an ad right in front of their face that says pimped out ferret cages, because I know that's what people search for. That's how you market efficiently. It's knowing who your target audience is and what it is they're looking for. If you know those two things, you know where they're looking, all you got to do is show up there. That's how you market efficiently. And the benefits is you now have an opportunity to show them why you're different and better than other people who are trying to solve that same problem. If you're good at that and you got a good product and you got a good service, it's money in your pocket. I mean, you can't start a business and not market it. I think a lot of businesses fail for that reason. They're started by someone who's good at something. Like I may be the best person in the world at building ferret cages, but if I can't market that, no one's going to know. It doesn't matter that I'm the world's leading expert on ferret cages if I don't know a lick about marketing. So you can't just ignore it, not deal with it, and stick your head in the sand. And that seems obvious, but so many business owners do that. They do what I call working in the business instead of working on the business. They'll put their head down and they will weld, they will clean houses, they will mow lawns, they will build ferret cages and to their heart's content, but they will not go out and make a sale. They will not pay attention to accounting. And that's the kind of stuff that wrecks your business. Hope that answered your question, Amber. All right, my last tip, number 10, is to develop work routines. I think, as I said earlier, a lot of new business owners, they struggle with the lack of structure and supervision that is inherent when you become your own boss. And if you're like that, if you are struggling with that, then you probably need to create some routines that will help you be sharp, be productive throughout the day. Here's a few that I recommend for getting focused. Number one is calendar blocking. You hear this a lot from home-based entrepreneurs, YouTubers especially. Listen, you're blocking your calendar doesn't mean, hey, I got to work 9 to 5. This can fit into your schedule. If you're not a morning person, maybe you start work at 11 and you go till 6, you have dinner, have some family time, and you go again at 9 o'clock. That's fine. Calendar blocking is about setting aside time to work on things that you know are important. So maybe 9 to 11 for me is when I do my creative work because I'm at my most creative in the morning. And I check emails from 11 to 12 after I'm done doing my creative work. That's calendar blocking, and I don't let things interfere with that. You know, I may have my meetings on Wednesdays and Fridays in the afternoon. That's calendar blocking. I do think that it's beneficial to maintain a typical start and stop time. Again, it doesn't have to be 9 to 5. It should work within your schedule, but that's structure. Like if you know I got to set my alarm for 9 o'clock because I go work out and then I get started at 10:30 a.m. You know, that's not a traditional work day, but for you, that's a traditional start time that works for you. And it gives you structure, it gives you a routine, and that's important to me. Um, there's a lot of ways you can get focused at the beginning of the day. Some things that work for other people are journaling, meditation. Maybe it's making a to-do list for that day. Maybe that's how you start every day. A lot of people, a ton of entrepreneurs say you got to exercise first thing in the morning. If you go exercise, you will have a more productive workday. It could be reading industry publications. A lot of successful business owners will tell you they are voracious readers and they get their reading done in the morning. Productivity is kind of another issue. A lot of people will say no emails in the morning. I will not check my emails until the afternoon. That way I know I don't get caught up in that trap. There's a movement called inbox zero. Inbox zero is where at the end of every day you have nothing in your inbox. You've either addressed everything and deleted it, or you've moved it to a folder that's kind of a temporary holding folder if you're waiting on something. That's inbox zero. Another trick, they call this eat the frog. Um, eat the frog may make 0 sense. It goes back to a quote by Mark Twain that's like, if it's your job to eat a frog, I suggest you do it first thing in the morning. And if you got to eat 2 frogs, eat the bigger one first. It's the theory that whatever is the hardest thing, the thing we want to do the very least in our day, we're going to do that first and get it out of the way. It's going to give us a sense of accomplishment. And for the rest of the day, everything else will just be easier. That's eating the frog. And then my last little tip is called the 2-minute rule. 2-minute rule is, it says that when a new task gets dropped onto your plate, let's say somebody emails you and says, hey, Rob, can you send over or upload these 2 pictures to Dropbox for me? That's something that for me would take less than 2 minutes. With the 2-minute rule, if I believe in that, I'm going to do it right then and there rather than putting that off and procrastinating. It's less than 2 minutes. It's not going to take me away from my flow that much because I know that if I don't do that, I'll probably forget and not come back to it, and I'm going to look bad. These are just little tips to boost your productivity when you're working from home, and at first, nothing feels productive. So those were the 10 tips. The other thing I promised was a list of types of home-based businesses that I'm kind of into right now. Now, I realize this flies in the face of me saying to find your niche. You should probably do something that's unusual. But I still wanted to pick some things that were somewhat traditional. There's plenty of people doing these things. Even within these things I'm going to talk about, you can find niches. I see Etsy seller on this list. Okay, there's a lot of Etsy sellers. That alone is not a niche, but I might be the only Etsy seller on there who sells, I don't know, Christmas boxes that were custom made with glitter and people's names on it. Like for me, that's my niche. It's glittery named Christmas boxes. So don't take this as like we should all be in these big broad industries. But here's some of the ones that are my favorite. First one is a classic one. It's a real estate agent. I think that there are just so many resources, educational resources out there for people in the real estate industry. It's got a very high income potential if you're good. It's a mature industry that is not going away. It allows you to be very flexible with your schedule. It's easy to do from home. And all of these have good parts and bad parts. You know, with a real estate agent, you're going to have to work nights and weekends. That's probably a given. That could be a pro to you. I mean, if that allows you to go do some showings when your spouse is home and can take care of the kids, that may not be a con at all. Another con is the expense of the classwork that's required to be an agent. I wanted to pick some fields that would be pretty cheap to start up. There is some expense in taking that coursework, like at Clark State or something. One of my other favorite ones is a medical billing specialist. So my wife's in this industry. She processes claims for Anthem. Look, the healthcare industry is humongous. There is just a huge demand for people that know how to submit claims to insurance companies in such a way that they get paid quickly. And a lot of doctors' offices fall behind on this. They submit bad claims, they don't get approved, and they fail to resubmit them, and they're leaving hundreds of thousands of dollars on the table. If you can solve that pain point for that doctor, you can make a fortune. There is a lot of income potential if you're fast and accurate, and you may just need one or two clients to maintain a business there. One of the obvious cons there is you need a little bit of experience in that industry. So clearly this isn't one that anyone could start. You need to have some medical billing experience. Travel agent. I got really caught up in this industry about a year ago. I just thought it was like, hey, this is the field that would be really cool to be in. It is fun. It's interesting. There's tons of perks. Like resorts will allow you to go stay at their resort for very cheap, if not free, so that you can get a feel for it and be able to market it to your clients that come in. Like that's the kind of perk that I want if I have a business. This isn't usually the most lucrative of businesses to start, but it could be. A lot of people don't realize there is something called a host agency. So it's almost like when new real estate agents first start, they have to join with a real estate brokerage firm. It's kind of works the same way. You have resources to companies that teach you how to be a good travel agent, low startup cost. I just think it's a really fun business to start from home, especially if you love to travel. Downsides, cash flow is not instantaneous. When you think about how people book trips, they're usually booking vacations 6 months in advance. So when they book a trip with you, you don't actually get paid as the travel agent. You don't get your commission until they take that trip. So it's a bit of a long burn. You got to put a lot of work in before you start seeing the cash roll in. But if you are making any money anyway, maybe that's not such a bad thing. It is also somewhat reliant on you having some spheres of influence, a network. It's one of those personal selling kind of industries. So if you've been at home for 10 years and you feel like you don't have a lot of friends or a lot of connections, it may be hard to start a travel agency or become a travel agent. Next, I keep trying to convince my kids to become an app developer. I think this is such a lucrative field to be in if you're good. All of these are like, hey, if you're good. If you're good at developing apps, there is so much demand, and building an app out, like you're looking at $20,000, $50,000 that someone would pay you to build one app. You could build 2, 3, 4 apps in a year, and you could be living very nice, because there's almost no expenses. You do not have to go to college and get a degree. You can learn coding languages online for free if you're willing to invest that time. You can have customers from all over the world. You're not limited to Springfield or Clark County. It is completely time flexible. You can do this easily from your home. And really the only downside is you got to spend the time learning those coding languages. So if you're at all into computers, understand that developing apps is a skill that is paying handsomely right now, and it makes for a great at-home business. You may not think you can learn that. There's a lot of things you can learn if you understand it just takes time and one step at a time. And finally, one of the ones I want to talk about is being a YouTuber or a podcaster. I think a lot of adults who are like 40 or over discount this as a career. It's becoming a legitimate business to start. Becoming a YouTuber, becoming a podcaster, or I would even throw becoming a blogger into there. I think this allows you to do something that's fun. You get to talk about the things that interest you. For a while, I was saying this is the wild, wild west. There's just so much land that's up for grabs on YouTube and in the podcast world. There's so many industries where there's maybe only one or two influential people who are podcasting or have a great YouTube channel. Maybe that's not so much true. I wouldn't call it the wild, wild west anymore. However, again, if you're in one of those niches, there's a good chance that you could still become very influential on either one of those platforms, YouTube or in the podcast field. You got low startup costs. Again, you got a global audience. I like businesses where you're not restricted to just the local geography, but you can get a customer from anywhere in the world. Also, doing those things can lead to a lot of other opportunities. This could lead to speaking engagements. It could lead to books that you write, partnerships, brand deals. There's a lot of ways to monetize a YouTube channel or a podcast or a blog. That's maybe also one of the cons is it's sometimes hard to figure out how to monetize it. Not every topic has a clear-cut path to profitability. Um, if I want to have a blog about ferrets, maybe there's a decent way to monetize that. If I want to have a blog about, I don't know, I can't even really think of a great example of one that would be really hard to monetize. You can monetize almost anything. Another con is that I think you got to be a little bit bold. I know a lot of people who would not want to do what I'm doing right now, which is doing a Facebook Live. They don't want to be on camera. They don't like the sound of their voice. It takes a little bit of confidence, a little bit of boldness. I think it takes knowing that your first several dozen tries are not going to be that professional, but you're willing to put that time in because after 100 of these, it's going to start looking really, really good. There's a lot of other ones on this list. You got to know yourself. You got to know customers. If you know those two things, you can figure out a home-based business, and it does not have to be multi-level marketing. That gets pitched so much to stay-at-home moms that it's ridiculous. I was telling Eric earlier that a lot of people don't realize that the state of Utah is for sure like the capital of multi-level marketing in this country. After travel and tourism, multi-level marketing is the number 2 industry in Utah. And that's because quite honestly, it preys on Mormon women who more than half are stay-at-home moms. They understand that those stay-at-home moms are comfortable going door to door and knocking. That's part of their faith. And they want to do something while they're staying at home to contribute to the family. And so that industry, for better, well, I wouldn't say better, just for worse, has always targeted that mom who wants that lifestyle where they can stay home with their kids, but desperately wants to contribute to the household. I think it manipulates them, if I'm honest. But you don't have to fall to that. You can start any business in the whole world where you profit, not someone else. All right, so we are about 50 minutes into this. The last thing I promised to share was the quick and dirty version of how to start a business legally and legitimately within the state of Ohio. Of all the questions that we get at the SBDC, this is probably the most common one. And if I've convinced you that you could start a home-based business, hopefully you're still paying attention because these are things that I want you to think about. Just because it's home-based doesn't mean you don't need to do it the right way. So here's how it works. You need to get your name, you need to get your number, you need to get a bank account, you need to get ready to be taxed, you need to get a license, and you need to get some insurance. Pretty easy, right? All right, I'll slow down a little bit. So, get your name. You can just start doing business. You could even give yourself a name. But when people write you a check, honestly, unless you've done something to register your business, they ought to be writing that check to your name because it's going to get deposited into your bank account. It's usually a good idea to drop $99, which is what it costs to create either an LLC or some type of corporation. It's worth that $99 because it protects your personal assets in a lawsuit or a judgment, and it ensures that no one else can use that same name that you want to use, at least in Ohio. Now, that also means that when you go to register your name, and you do this at the Secretary of State's website, so when you go to register name, you need to make sure that you search to make sure no one else in Ohio has that same name. Just like you don't want someone taking your name, those people that registered the name before you don't want you taking theirs. So that's step number one is you got to get a name. It's part of creating an identity for your business. That's the first thing we need to do. We need to create an identity for a business that's separate and distinct from my identity as an individual, as a person. So my full legal name, my social security name, that's my identity. My business is going to need an LLC name or corporation name, and number 2, which is an employer identification number. Those two things, my LLC name and my EIN number, give my business an identity. That EIN number comes from the IRS. You just go right on the IRS website and search for EIN, apply for an EIN, and you can go through that process. It'll spit out an EIN number. It's free. It's instantaneous. Couple tips. Number one, don't do this until you've received confirmation from the state that your company name has been approved. Your EIN gets attached to your company name. So if you do this right away and you get an EIN and you find out your name wasn't good with the state, now you got to go through that process again and apply for another EIN number. My second tip is print off the letter. So once they tell you, here's your EIN number, they're going to give you a link to download a confirmation letter from the IRS. Print that off. You're going to need that to take to the bank. And tip number 3 is watch out for scams. If you go and Google IRS EIN, chances are the first 2 or 3 results are going to be companies who have placed paid ads on Google so that when someone types that search phrase, their website shows up first. All they're trying to get you to do is to pay them to go apply for an EIN on your behalf. You don't need to do that. Applying for EIN is free. You don't want to pay someone $50 to go do what you can do for free very easily. So make sure you're not clicking onto a paid ad. You should make sure you're on irs.gov. There are a lot of scams with this. A very common one after people register their name with the state is someone will send you something in the mail. It's going to look very official, like it came from a government agency. And it says, congratulations, you registered your name. The only step you have remaining is to file this particular form. And if you pay, it costs $99 to file this form. And I've had at least 2 or 3 people pay that and then wonder if they had to, and they call me, and I have to inform them that that was a scam. If you look closely, it wasn't a .gov address. There's some indications like that's not required. So just pay attention to that. Step number 3 is to get a bank account. As I said, once you got those 2 things, you got your name and your number. At that point, a bank's going to be willing to let you open a business checking account. Very different from a personal checking account because it's attached to your business, not to you as a person. Although your name is on it, I mean, I should say it's not attached at all, but it's definitely in your business's name, not yours. You're going to need to bring that certificate that the state sends you and the letter from the IRS. The bank's going to want to see that, and some money to put in the account, of course. Last thing I'll say about that is to think about the other accounts that you will need to have attached to it. So with my bank, I've got our normal checking account, but then I got these 2 kind of side accounts that work as short-term savings or long-term savings accounts. You may need some of those side accounts. For one, if you're required to collect sales tax on behalf of the state, I think it's good to have a separate account that you go and you just put that sales tax money you collected over there so I don't spend it. Another side account is probably one that you hold back money to pay your income taxes. So when we're used to having a job, a job, our employer withholds that stuff and pays it on our behalf. When you are your own boss, nobody does that for you. It's your responsibility to make sure that you're setting aside money to pay for income taxes once tax time comes. A lot of times the state's going to say, I need you actually to pay that stuff quarterly and not wait for the entire year. You may be in a business where you got some expensive things that need replaced every so often. That could be another account you want is what I would call sinking fund. I think people know about Christmas accounts. Like you're going to stick $100 in your Christmas account every year so that when Christmas time comes, you got about $1,000 in there. It's kind of like that. If you know I got to buy a new pressure washer in 4 years, you might want to sock away some money every month so that 4 years from now, you're not having to dig so deep into your pockets. 4th step is to get ready to be taxed, which means we got to go tell the state of Ohio that we exist so that they can tax us. I wish they didn't have to, but they do. And so just search for Ohio Business Gateway. That's kind of the state's one-stop shop for businesses to interact with the state. It's mostly it's a site for the Department of Taxation. There'll be some steps you got to go through to register your new business. To me, I think this is the most difficult part of the entire process because the website is not the greatest. It's just not that user-friendly. It's here where they're going to determine, based on the kind of business that you tell them you are, whether you're required to charge sales tax when people purchase from you. This is the website that you'll log into to pay that sales tax to the state. It's the website you'll log in to make your quarterly income payments that are estimated. So it is a site that you'll use once you're up and running as well. Um, the next one is get a license or permit. I will say this isn't always the case. You don't always have to do that. It depends on what your business does. Um, and it also depends on the municipality that you're in. You know, in Springfield, I might have to register as a general contractor, where if I'm only operating in Enon, I may not. It just depends on the laws and regulations in that particular municipality. The most common permit that someone might have to get is a vendor's permit. Vendor's permit is for anyone that sells a physical good to the public. And if you're the kind of business that sells from multiple locations, like you may go around to craft fairs or whatever, you're selling from multiple locations. In that case, you would actually want a transient vendor's license as opposed to the regular one. But you just have to pay attention to what your industry requires. And then finally is get some insurance. Of all these on the list, this is the only one that's not technically like legally required. It's just a really smart thing to do. It'd be silly to not get some insurance for your business. So that LLC or the corporation, that creates this veil in between your company and you as a person. However, the LLC and corporation is your last line of defense. If someone's going to sue you, that LLC that you have is the last line of defense. Your first line of defense is a good insurance policy. So almost certainly you're going to want some general liability insurance for your business, but you may also want some special policies. I'm thinking of things like product liability insurance. You may want some cybersecurity insurance, depending on what you do. Really, you need to talk to your insurance agent. Just have a conversation. Hey, I'm starting this kind of business for my home. This is what I do. This is about how much money I think we're going to be making. They'll tell you what you may need. They'll give you the advice that you need. Just don't forget that part. You know, everybody wants insurance after they have a need for it. You need to think about it before you have a need for it. So that's it, guys. Eric, any more questions that came up? All right. So listen, some of you are going to watch this after this live video has ended. If you have questions, for one, you can just put them down there in the comments. I will go back and answer those. If you are ready to start your home-based business, please understand that a small business development center here in Springfield, it is for you. I've spent a lot of time telling you that a home-based business isn't less than. We're here for home-based businesses. In fact, most of our clients are home-based businesses. So don't hesitate to reach out for us. You can find us online at springfieldspdc.com. Our phone number is 937-322-7821. We're just a phone call away. A lot of times people just want to bounce ideas off the wall with us. It doesn't have to be anything super serious. It doesn't commit you to anything. It is 100% free. And even though it's free, this is good stuff. This SBDC that we have here in Springfield has some amazing talent behind it, some great resources. And it is gaining a lot of attention around the state and around the country. Believe it or not, we have a great thing right here in our backyard, and it's paid for with your tax dollars. So use it to your full advantage. That's all I got, guys. We're right at around 60 minutes right now. I appreciate if you stuck with me and tuned in through this thing. I'm glad you did. I hope you learned something. And if you have a need for some other training topic, I'd encourage you to reach out and say, hey, I think this would be a great topic. Hope you guys do it. We love doing this kind of stuff. We're here for you. We want to see you thrive, especially in what I think is an economy where there's a lot of people on unemployment. We're hearing this rate go up to 20%. And as the date draws closer where you're going to run out of that, you may be thinking about, do I need to start a business because I'm running out of options? When that happens, think about us. Think about starting a business. You can do it. All right, guys. I appreciate you. Have a good night.